Thank you for joining me today. In today's session, we're going to cover management and how to be an effective healthcare manager. Let's get started. Our agenda. We're going to go over introductions. We will review our objective for class today. We will talk about the overview of management and the functions of management, and then review the management styles. At the end of our session, we'll leave time for some questions. Introduction. So I am Kate Kyer. Thank you so much for joining me today. I look forward to having great discussion with you. I am the medical office manager, and I've had management experiences for 6 years with a staff of folks from anywhere from 25 to 40 associates and 18 years of leadership experience. So I'm excited to be able to share what I've gained over the years. So our objective. At the end of this session today, you'll have an introduction of how to be a healthcare manager. You'll have a better understanding of what the 5 management styles and functions are, and then about the 3 management styles and how to apply them appropriately. So what is management? So management is the act of engaging individuals, those physical human resources, and the tools established to meet certain goals. So an effective management is determined by implementing the key functions successfully and the criteria that goes with them. It is one of the most important duties as a manager is to effectively use the organization resources. Not only that means human capital, but it's efficiently allocating financial resources, technical resources, and certainly natural resources you have. And being successful will take lots of practice. These are the 5 management styles that we'll be reviewing through the more detail. So the 5 management functions you're seeing here is cyclical. It is not something that's one and done. You go back often and you will apply these different functions and review these different functions depending on which task you're doing. So we're going to be going through more detail into planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. So some definitions for you. So planning, very much what it sounds. You're planning this out. We do this in our everyday life, but it's important to create action plans, next steps that need to occur in order to understand the future, whether that future is today, tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now, in order to execute on deliverables and make sure that you're meeting your strategic objectives. So for example, one of the items we're going to go over tomorrow is the excess wait times that are in our offices. Planning function is where you're going to determine the action plans that you need to do to address the issue, to create a plan and steps to implement and make recommended improvements, and then actually how to carry out those improvements by creating target dates, financial impacts, what staffing might be needed, training needs, or even different functions or facilities that might need to be created, and then the who and the how you're going to implement this. Organizing. So once you have your plan in place, you're going to do some organizing. You're going to create a pattern of relationships amongst the workers, making sure that you're optimizing them, you're using your resources to enable successful carrying out of plans. And so, for example, we want to look at the team structure. Work schedules, do they need to change to support the wait times? Depending on the results that we're going to gather from our patient feedback will depend on how we organize our teams and resources. Does it need to have a change in work hours? Do you need to organize the staff differently by function, meaning you need to have somebody on that can maybe do some filing? Maybe there's a receptionist to answer calls, or do we really need an additional staff member, another provider, in order to see more patients? So optimizing and organizing those resources will be a critical part to success. Staffing. So staffing's critical. Job analysis, recruitment, hiring of the right people, making sure their necessary skill sets are there, providing and facilitating ongoing channels for associate feedback, training and support. So as folks develop and they learn their functions, they're going to need to have additional training and feedback. So if you're going to change things and processes, it'll be a critical thing to really look at your staffing and find out what your needs are. Again, that will come out of your planning sessions and your organization sessions to find out what gaps you might have in staffing. So it'll be critical to that success, making sure that we have the right people on the right schedule, and that we can not only provide them with honest feedback on how they're performing and get them necessary training that will also help keep them engaged and really able to be successful in their role. So providing this type of support to your associates and team will help gain that confidence and independence that they're going to be seeking. Leading and directing. So this function helps determine what needs have to be accomplished in a situation to meet the goal. So the act of motivating people to complete the task, making sure that they're being done timely, that they don't have any road barriers in their way. And so it's going to be important to provide goals with them, metrics and mentoring, and then really helping monitor those. And that's our next function we'll go through. But for an example for this, what does success look like? What are the goals that you need to determine to be successful? In reducing the wait times is our example that we're going to cover. So you want to make sure that we understand what our customers' needs are. You want to do maybe perhaps a survey with them to understand, is it the wait times? Meaning, if you reduced it by 3 minutes, that's successful. Does it have to be 10 minutes? Is it, adding a staff member on to help answer phone calls, or do you need to maybe open later or on weekends? So it's going to be really critical to understand what your client's success and our customer success, our patient success, what they feel is going to make it improved versus what we think. Getting them engaged and understanding that will help you lead and direct your team appropriately. Controlling and monitoring. This is probably even more critical than all the rest once you have it established. Checking in frequently, making sure the outcomes that you're expecting against the forecasted plan is working. And then if it's not, how do you make necessary adjustments to ensure that the goals are achieved? It's critical to ensure that there's communication and transparency around the goals and the stakeholders and associates, and that you have the opportunity to check in often. And, as you're getting through, it may be that something's going to be delayed. Having that communication plan out to your stakeholders and letting your clients or customers know where they're at will just help them be engaged and be supportive of you if things change. And there won't be surprises, but they'll certainly help it set that expectation and understand, again, what does success look like. So doing those frequent check-ins will help you track those milestones and make sure they're being accomplished. Let's get into some of the styles that you'll need to do with your associates. So there's 3 basic management styles. Directing, that's the what to do. Discussing, ask questions and listen. And then delegating, it's really empowering your associates to take on actions themselves. So let's talk more about what these mean. So to become an appropriate manager, an effective manager, you'll have to adapt your style depending on the needs of your associate. So each associate may have a very different style, and as they learn and grow, you'll become more independent and you'll change your style accordingly. It may be somebody that's brand new or maybe somebody that's more seasoned, but it's important for you to understand your employees' knowledge and their skill set and the complexity of the task that's at hand and help them through that. So some more discussions about style. So it consists of 4 components. Communication is critical. Coaching of that associate's important to help them continue to grow and get their confidence and experience. Decision making, defining by whom, and recognition of doing well and feedback of what can improve. These are all 4 components that are critical through each of these styles. So directing, this is usually most effective when it's a brand new person to the team or a brand new task and where you need to set expectations. So this is where the manager is going to promote learning through the listening and following of directions. You're going to give the employee very specific of how to and what to do and when it needs to be done, and so that they're concentrating on the task at hand and not all the decisions around it. Discussing style. This one helps promote the learning through interaction. Your manager and the associates encourage critical thinking, discuss lively things, how to think outside the box, help understand problems or barriers that might be in the way that have to be resolved, and the manager can recommend situations to help mitigate those issues. The style certainly is most effective when associates have developed some skill and they have some experience, but still need assistance in setting those goals and direction, and ultimately the manager will still make the decisions. But this starts to get them engaged and starts them to thinking about being more independent. Delegating style. So this promotes learning through the empowerment of doing. This style is very important. The manager assigns the task to the employee. They work independently, and they're either individually or in groups, so that they may be leading a certain type of task force. And it's most effective when associates fully experienced and they have the skill set to consider impacts regarding decisions, understanding, and they really know what the expectation of that goal is. It also requires a lot of trust on the manager. So some weaknesses and strengths that come with these different styles. So directing, manager defines the goals, sets the timelines, works with the employee, teaches them and demonstrates their task, defines the roles and helps them develop that way. Weakness can be extended time commitment for this. Somebody that's new to the team does require a lot of mentoring and support and guidance. And if it's used inappropriately, though, the associate may feel micromanaged. So you want to make sure you reduce frustration by directing only when the associate truly needs it, if it's a new task or a new associate. Discussing style. So this is a style that allows to have the associate and manager or team ask questions between each other to understand and clarify goals, talks about the what and the how things are going to get done. Manager makes the final decision with this one, but it's an idea to give advice and ideas back and forth with each other, and it helps remove those obstacles to the goal, and it starts to build that experience and confidence in the associate. This does require frequent check-ins and encouragement, which does increase time constraint, not as much as the directing, but it still has quite a bit of commitment needed. And again, if it's used inappropriate, the employee progress can stall. So if you're asking somebody brand new how to discuss certain things, they may feel overwhelmed or even lost, or they may become anxious, frustrated, become disengaged. If you're using it on somebody that's used to delegating and running with something, they may feel frustrated and that you don't trust them. Delegating. So the delegating style, this is where the manager expects the employee to take the initiative and keep others informed. And so employee will participate, take responsibility, goal setting, action planning, decision making. This also encourages them to challenge themselves and share their knowledge and skill sets with others, making sure that they're not only just accountable for themselves, but that they're taking that to their peers as well. And it empowers them and it helps create a sense of independence. So this goal, if used inappropriate, the employee may be overwhelmed. They may lose confidence in themselves and their ability and feel unsupported if you're using this too soon. Goals may be missed, and so that's the ultimate responsibility of the manager if it's a large enough goal that the corporation's looking for. And then it certainly can create confusion and role responsibility between associates and manager, as well as associates and peers. So if the peer is actually running a group, it's going to be very crucial at the beginning of the project to make sure you set clear expectations and clear roles, and so that if an associate's leading their peers, they know that they have your permission to be delegating and directing certain things. What questions do you have for me regarding management? I also have a contact information here if you have questions once you leave here today, and be glad to meet with you and talk through them. I appreciate your time today and look forward to discussing the next steps on wait times with you tomorrow. Thanks for your attention today and have a great day.